So you want to learn Riichi Mahjong. Okay, this is a tutorial, whatever video for digital Riichi Mahjong, meaning Mahjong played online instead of at an actual table with like in real life. And Mahjong is actually a somewhat simple game. It's really not that complicated. The basics of it is that it's essentially a card game, but played with tiles instead of cards. And each hand every player is dealt 13 tiles, and every turn you must draw a tile and then discard a tile. The tile you discard can be the one you drew or another one in your hand. This once you play your turn, the next player plays his turn. This goes counterclockwise. It's a gameplay with 4 people. Can be played with 3 people, but that's not real Mahjong, honestly. Real Mahjong is played with 4 people. And anyway, this goes on until someone wins a hand with and a valley hand requires 4 sets and 1 pair. So first you need to familiarize yourself with the different tiles. So you have 3 suits. You have the Pinsu suit, you have the Sotsu suit, and you have the Mansu suit. You see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of each of these suits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Pinsu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Sotsu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Mansu. And in the game there's 4 copies of each individual tile. So there's 4 copies of this 1 Mansu and 4 copies of this 6 Mansu and 5 copies of this 5 Sotsu, and so on. In addition of those 3 suits, there's also the honor tiles, or Chihai, and you have the Sanganpai or dragon tiles. So you have the Haku, which is the white dragon, the Hatsu, which is the green dragon, and the Chun, which is the red dragon. And there's also the Kasehai, or wind tiles. You have the Ton, or east wind, Nan, or south wind, Sha, or west wind, and Tei, or north wind. So it's all the tiles. Once you learn the tiles, it's time to form a hand. So like I said, you need 4 sets and a pair. So a set can be either a Shuntsu or a run. So like 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and they have to be of the same suit. So you cannot have a one man, 2 pin, and a 3 so. They have to be, all 3 have to be Mansu or Pinsu or Sosu. And another thing, you like in other card games, you cannot make a 9-1-2 or a 8-9-1 Shunsu. That's why the 1s and 9s are called terminal tiles, because they're not they cannot be joined together. They're terminals. And then you can also make a triple or Kotsu. So it's just 3 copies of the same tile. Like I said, there's 4 copies of each tile. So if you have 3 copies of it, you have a triple. So like 2, 2, 2, 5, 5, 5, east, 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 and so on. You should notice that you cannot make a Shuntsu with the honor tiles. Honor tiles can only make triplets or quads or pairs. They cannot make a run or Shuntsu. And you can also make quads instead of triplets. But these quads, they in practice function like triplets, but there's more to them, and I won't cover it in this video. So quads, just know they're possible. You should probably avoid them. And then there's they're hard to get anyway. And there's pair you also need a pair on top of these 4 sets. So a pair is just that. It's just a pair. So it can be the 2-2 or it can be 5-5. You don't need a third tile. There's also a couple of exceptions to these 4 sets and one pair rule, and that's Chitoitsu hands or 7 pairs. Like this, you have 7 pairs instead, and that's a valid hand. And there's also Kokushi Muso, which is a Yakuman. It's a really valuable hand. You're not gonna get this, so it's an exception, but don't worry about it for now. Just don't worry about it. So it's when you have every single terminal and every single honor, 1 copy of each, and one except for one which has to be a pair. And that's a Kokushi Muso. That's a really good hand. So here are some examples of valid completed hands. So you have 1 Shunsu, 1-2-3 man. You have another Shunsu, 3-4-5 pin. You have a triplet, an anchor. Oh, it's of 7 pin. You have your pair here. It's the 8-so, and then you have another anchor. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets and your pair. And this applies to all hands. All hands have to be like this. It doesn't matter if it's a triplet or a run or whatever, but it has to be 4 sets and a pair. For example, here this can look a bit complicated. It's a slightly complex shape, but if you look closely, it's 2, 3, 4 and 3, 4, 5. So you have 2 sets here. You have another set here with this 4, 5, 6. You have your pair and you have another set here. So these are all completed hands, but on top of being completed, a hand must also have what's called a valid Yaku. So what bloody hell is a Yaku? Okay, it's a pattern or a condition or set of conditions that a hand needs to meet in order for it to be a valid hand and score points. So think of it like in poker. If you ever played that, I'm sure you have. Like you have your royal flush and straight and all that. It's just like that. It's a set of conditions. So every hand needs at least 1 Yaku, and only 1 Yaku for a hand to be valid. But you can have many Yaku, almost as many as you want, essentially. And each additional Yaku will add value to your hand. So if you have many Yaku, you will have a strong hand, and then with just 1 hand with lots of your Yaku, you can potentially just win the game. So a few easy Yaku to remember for beginners are Taniao or All Simples, which is when you have no terminals, so no 1s, no 9s, and no honors, so no dragons and no wind tiles. So for example, here you see there are no terminals and no honors. You have these 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, this 5, 5 pair, this 7 triplet, and this 3, 4, 5. None of these tiles are honors or terminals, so it's all simples. That's a valid Yaku. You also have the Yakuhai. So a Yakuhai can be a triplet of any dragon. So in this case, it's the red dragon, the Chun, but it can be the white dragon, the Haku, or the green dragon, the Hatsu. It doesn't matter. It has to be a triplet. Cannot be a pair. Can be a quad. It can be a quad, but it has to be either a triplet or a quad for it to be a Yakuhai. Cannot be a single tile, and it cannot be a pair. And then there's also a triplet of your seat wind. So each of the 4 seats, they're assigned a wind. So for example, if you're sitting in the west wind seat, then if you have a triplet of west winds, then you have a Yakuhai. And then there's the prevalent wind, which is the prevalent wind of the round. You'll see this in Mahjong Sol, for example. You'll see it in the middle of the screen, the prevalent wind. So it's at the beginning of the game, it's always east, And so if at the beginning of the game you have a triplet of east wind tiles, then you have a Yaku high. That's a valid Yaku. You can win your hand with that. Another Yaku is Toi or all triplets. So all 4 of your sets have to be triplets. They cannot be runs. They have to be triplets. So you see here, you have the 1-1-1, the 3. You have your pair. You have this 8 triplet, this west triplet, and this Hatsu triplet. And this is a valid Yaku. Notice that on top of the Toi Yaku, you also have the Hatsu Yaku and potentially the West Wind Yaku. So that if you had that would be 3 different Yaku. And then there's also the Chitoitsu or 7 pairs Yaku, which I already showed you, which is just 7 pairs. There's more Yaku, but this should do for now. There's also Dora. Dora are just special tiles. So you'll see that, for example, in Mahjong Soul, in the upper left of your screen, you'll see this thing. And here you can see the Dora indicator. So the Dora indicator indicates which tile is the Dora, but it's not this tile, it's the one following this tile. So if the Dora indicator is the 5 pin like it's shown here, then that means that the Dora for that round is the 6 pin. And if this is a 9, then it's the 1. So a Dora gives you more value to your hand, just like a Yaku. It works just like a Yaku in that regard, except it's not a Yaku in itself. It's not a Yaku, so even though it adds value, if you only have Dora but no Yaku, then you cannot win your hand. It needs a valid Yaku, and Dora is not a valid Yaku. In addition of the Dora and the which is indicated here, you also have the red 5s. So each copy of the 5s in a suit will be red. So you have, like we said earlier, there's 4 copies of each tile. So one of the copies of these 5s will be a red. So like you see here, this 5 of man, you have this red 5, and you have this red 5 for the pin, and you have this red 5 for the Sosu. And these red 5s or Akapai, they function as a Dora. So they're good to have. Dora is good to have in your hand. Just know that. It gives you value. Another rule is calling tiles or Furo. So if you have a 2 tiles of a set and you're missing 1 tile to complete that set, and one of your opponents discards that tile, then you can call it. So there's 3 Furo, and they're pawn. So pawn is when you have a pair and you can call for a triplet. So for example, you have the two 1 pins, and the player across you discards another 1 pin, then you can call pawn.
Pawn.
To complete it into a triplet. So you're like stealing the tiles that your opponents discard. Then you also have Chi. Chi can only be called from the discards of the player to your left. You cannot call Chi from the discard of the player across you or to your right. Only the player to your left. So for example, if you have a 2-3 of Sosu, and the player to your left discards the 1 or the 4, then you can call Chi on that, and you'll complete a run.
Chi. いらない子ね。
You also have can. Can is when you turn a triplet into a quad.
かん
There's two type of cans. You have the close cans, which is when you actually call it with a tile you have drawn yourself, and there's the diamond can, which is when you call it from a discard of your opponents, and this can be called from anyone, just like a pawn. But you shouldn't really worry too much about can. Like I said, this is a bit more complex of a rule. So once you make a call, that means your hand is now open. So the tiles used for the call are revealed to your opponents. They can see the set you have made, and they're placed to the side of your hand. And these tiles you can no longer change them or discard them. They're there and they're like set in stone. So if you have the 2-3 saw and you call a chi on the one, then you grab those 3 tiles, you put them to the side. All your opponents can see you have a 1-2-3 run, and you cannot ever discard these tiles. They're a part of your hand now. Also, pawn has priority over chi, so if you want a chi a tile, but an opponent can call pawn and they do, then they have priority over you. And on top of pawn and chi, you have don. This is another call, if you will, but the don is when you win. So when you're one tile away from winning a hand, so for example, if you have this hand here and you're only missing, say, the 3 saw, you have all the rest of these tiles. You're only missing the 3 saw, so you have all 13 other tiles. Of course, you can only have 13 tiles at a time, except for when you draw a tile, then you have 14. So your hand cannot be truly completed. So you're only missing the 3, and an opponent discards the 3, then you can go down on that tile, as long as it's a valid winning hand, of course. If you don't have a Yaku or you're in Furiten, which we'll cover later, then you cannot call it on. But as long as it's a valid winning hand and you're not in Furiten, then you can call Ron, and that of course has priority over Chi or Pawn. So when you win by Ron, then your opponent who has discarded the tile you win with has to pay for your entire hand.
ドンリーチドラドラ
So that's why you don't want to be donned. That's why you want to play defensively in Riichi Mahjong, and there's ways to play defensively. We will briefly cover them later. And then you can also win by Tsuma, so when you're in Tenpai and you draw the last tile you need, then you can choose Tsumo. And everyone has to pay for your win.
ツモよ覚えたかしらリーチツモピンフドラ
So another Yaku, and not just a Yaku, but a special rule, if you will, of Riichi Mahjong, which differentiates it from other variants of Mahjong, is Riichi. It's in the name of the game. So once you reach Tenpai, so you have a ready hand, you're one tile away from winning, you can call Riichi. It's kind of like in the card game Uno, when you have one remaining card and you call Uno. Well, this is kind of the same. So you're one tile away from winning, you can declare Riichi, and this does few things. So first, you throw 1,000 points into the pot as a sort of bet, and if you win, you'll get your Riichi stick back, your bet, your 1,000 points. You'll get them back, and you'll also have a valid Yaku, which is Riichi. Riichi is a valid Yaku, so you can build your hand without a valid Yaku, and then as long as you keep it closed, you can declare Riichi, and then you have a Yaku, so you can win. Sort of a drawback about Riichi is that once you declare Riichi, you can no longer change your hand, and you must discard any tiles you draw unless they're one of your winning tiles. So if you're only missing, say, the three saw to win a tile, and you draw a 4 saw, which you cannot win with, you have to discard it no matter what. But if you draw the 3, then obviously you can call Tsumo, or if someone discards it, you can call Don. Just know that Riichi is epic and based on the red pill, and there's absolutely a reason why this Mahjong variant is called Riichi Mahjong. It's a really good thing. Riichi is good. If you can Riichi, you fucking Riichi. Pretty much.
Riichi.
And one more rule we will cover is Furiten, which I mentioned earlier. And in my opinion, it's what truly sets Riichi Mahjong apart from other variants of Mahjong. Riichi too, of course, but I think Furite is even more of an important rule, because especially because of discard Furiten. So discard Furiten means that if you have previously discarded a tile that could be used to form a valid hand, even if the tile you've discarded would not have given you a Yaku, you are in Furiten, meaning that if you have a ready hand and you're only missing a 2 saw or a 4 saw, but you have already discarded a 2 saw, for example, in the past, then you're in Furiten. And when you're in Furiten, you cannot run. So if someone else discards the 2 saw, you cannot run, because you have discarded the 2 saw and you're in Furiten. Same with the 4 saw, even though you haven't discarded the 4 saw, because you discarded the 2 saw and you're waiting on either of those tiles, you're still in Furiten, so you cannot run of the 4 saw. While in Furiten, you can still Tsumo though. So if you draw the 2 saw again or a 4 saw, then you can Tsumo. Of course, tiles that are called or stolen from you. So if you discarded the 2 saw and someone called it, doesn't matter. You're still in Furiten. And then there's also temporary Furiten. This is not relevant because calling a win is optional. So you can don't skip or even Tsumo skip. So if you for some reason decide not to don someone, then you're temporary in Furiten until your next discard. So, and then there's also Riichi Furiten, which is essentially the same rule as temporary Furiten, except as long as you're in Riichi. So once you declare Riichi, the state of temporary Furiten does not expire. So it doesn't matter if you're in temporary like you would be in temporary Furiten for not calling Dawn. If you draw the tile and you discard it, then you're still in Furiten. And Furiten, I think, is a very special rule because it allows for defensive play, which you cannot have in, for example, Chinese Mahjong, most variations of Chinese Mahjong, because you have no Furiten. There's very, very little you can do in terms of defense. But in Japanese Mahjong, there's a lot. And that's thanks to the Furiten rule in large portion. So if you know one of your opponents is in Tenpai, meaning they have a ready hand, they're only one tile away from winning, and you do not want to get done, because again, if you get done, you have to pay for their hand, then you can use Furiten to your advantage by discarding tiles that they cannot win from. So if, for example, your opponent discarded a 2-man, and you want to play defensively, and you have a 2-man, then you'll discard the 2-man, because they absolutely cannot win by 2-man, at least not by Dawn. Maybe they're in Furiten and they can win by Sumo, but they cannot win off you. So you can use that to your advantage, and there's also Sushi, but I'm not gonna cover that in this video. And that's pretty much it. That's really all you need to know in order to play Mahjong. Of course, there's far more to it. There's a few more rules. There's far more Yaku than the ones I showed, and there's many small things, if you will, about strategy and tile efficiency and how to fold the hand and all that. But that's a bit more advanced. You don't need that for now. You can just go ahead and play. You'll likely lose, but it's fine. It's fine. It's how you learn. This is just the basics, and I will make more videos if you people wish for them. And that's it. Just remember, Mahjong is a game of skill and luck, so anyone can win and anyone can lose a single game. Of course, skill is also a thing, not just luck. So the chances of a strong player winning against you, who just learned the very basics, are very high, very high. That's it. Oh, and one more thing, one extra slide is where you can play Riichi Mahjong online, and I recommend Mahjong Soul. You can just Google this, Mahjong Soul. That's the most popular client against Westerners. It's the one where I play in. So if you watch any of my streams, I'll be playing on Mahjong Soul. Then there's also Tenho, but I do not recommend playing Tenho for beginners, not at all. It's not so friendly for new players. The client itself is entirely in Japanese, so if you don't speak Japanese, then I think there's translations, but yeah. And it's less friendly because they have no tips and you have less time to think and all that. It also has stronger players than really all other clients, so this is more for the tryhards. You also have a Riichi City. If you for some reason want to play in that client, I do not recommend the Riichi City. And then there's also Sega Mahjong. But again, the one I recommend, Mahjong Soul. So go ahead and play some Mahjong.